Hey, Christoph. I just did the thing where I recorded and completely didn't have any audio, so that was frustrating. But yesterday, missed a day again. Long day with lots of people around. Mention that again later. But starting off though, I didn't say that I responded better to critical feedback. I was saying that's some of the only stuff that sticks. And it's frustrating that that's the way it is. In general, what I need to get better at is responding and internalizing positive feedback more readily. It's not helpful to only see the bad. And so then jumping right into what you were talking about on the energy thing, where you're like telling me to perk up some. I get it, the general idea of what you're talking about, but I think we need to break that down just a little bit more. I don't think we should go easy on people who aren't feeling great. But there's a difference between empathy and babying. It's not about babying someone, but it's about having empathy and helping each other to get to a better place. A lot of popular culture tends to be a highlight reel. Vlogs are often just the highlights of a vlogger's day. Movies condense years of work into a 15-second montage. Difficulties in movies come with grand music and knowing that the hero is always going to overcome the challenge. And I've talked with my brother a lot about it, but we have this perspective of everyone is the hero of their own movie. And some of the stuff that you're saying sounds a little bit like those highlights, a little bit like idealistic. It kind of ignores the idea that you're talking about how you want to have more emotion and more feeling sometimes. It's to some degree, some of the stuff you're saying sounds a little bit like it misses that. And with some of the people that you mentioned and some of the just the experiences that those people have had, it kind of ignores the idea that mental illness is a real physical thing. Personally, I'm not depressed. I have my down days, but I've been able to figure out some things that trigger those feelings. And so it's less about managing depression. It's more about finding where I function most optimally. But I do have depressed friends. I do have anorexic friends whose brains are wired to be more self-critical, who through a mixture of genetics and life experiences have a much more difficult time letting critical feedback go, and who are fully conscious of the good in their lives and fully conscious that they are capable, they understand that they have abilities and talents, but because of chemical imbalances, those aren't properly weighted in their brain. I understand it's tough to be around negativity. I really, really do. I canceled my subscription to the New York Times because I was just reading that stuff, reading all the bad headlines. But in my mind, it's more like imagine living with it. New York Times, that was easy to cancel, but some of these friends who were living with some of this stuff, it's not that easy. There's definitely something to be said for hope and taking steps towards healthy or healthier, like healing behaviors. And I want that for all my friends, but sometimes the first step towards that is actually talking to someone about it. For sure, give them suggestions on how to get out of the place that they're in if they want that. And I guess in some of those situations with those friends, test the waters, talk to them and see if, hey, I understand I've been hearing you say this a lot, that you're not feeling great. Are you interested in kind of taking some steps to resolve that? How is that going, or something like that? But again, if they want that, but just as far as like what you're trying to do, it feels like you're trying to power through emotion with energy to some degree, and sometimes life gets hard, and I don't think it's always healthy to energy or logic your way out of it. Feel it and like do your best to move on, and some people have an easier time at that than others, and like you asked for, I'll respect the way you want to be treated in that situation, but all those others deserve to be respected in the way how they want to be treated, and I think that's an important thing to talk to some of these people about and figure out how they want to be treated. On the goodbyes, I wasn't expecting you to be depressed. I was more responding to your tone in Ibgc 52. You didn't mention anything at all about it being a great trip. You just sounded more suppressed than usual. And it seemed to me like you were expecting you to be sad about saying goodbye to these friends is kind of insulting to you, and I don't quite understand that. I think we'd be, like you said, I think we'd be more on the same page if we were talking about some of this stuff live. and wouldn't be able to misunderstand each other as much. Interesting perspective on getting up and doing the thing regardless, as far as like me being in bed thinking about, oh, I should do this thing, but then choosing sleep. I think in those situations it comes more down to priorities, and I value this thing, this whole Ibgc thing, but in this instance, and most of the time, I value sleep more. And then missing yesterday, I was hanging out with my brother, which is not something I get to do all that often, especially him being in college. And then as soon as I was done hanging out with him, I went out straight to hanging out with friends and played Battlefield 5 until 1 a.m. with like 4 other dudes. And it was a great time. I haven't done that in forever. And so in some of those cases, friends, like being live with those friends is a higher priority than sleep. If your priorities are different, that's coolio, no problem. But I'm just not quite. If we have different values, that's fine. On taking compliments, your big question. The problem for me comes when I perceive a compliment as disingenuous, effectively turning a compliment into a criticism, and when it feels like someone doesn't think I'm capable of taking criticism, so it's a thinly veiled, like, oh, that's pretty cool, or, oh, nice, and then moving on to the next thing. Like, most of the time, I'm probably reading into it too far, but in general, that's just something I've been working to be more aware of and consciously change. So that whole idea, like, I totally understand that it gives some insight into how other people perceive the world, and that's definitely, that's huge, and I do take it that way a lot of the time. But yeah, something that I'm working on, just something that I've been trying to be conscious of, and I think look into the factors of before just writing it off. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so sounds good on the more loose holiday schedules, especially the ones coming up recently. And on that note of values, I'm going to try to get these videos done more in the mornings when I get up. I'll see how those go over the next couple of holiday days, because it sounds like I got stuff going on. But it's 4:30 p.m. I should be yawning. But yeah, just so that it doesn't clash with sleep. Okay. I think that's everything. So, and I hope the audio recorded this time. See ya. Bye.